The October 2nd Manchester synagogue attack is ultimately a reflection of Islam's three most dangerous and hostile doctrines. To understand this, we must trace the logic of all such seemingly senseless terror attacks. Muslims ramming their vehicles into and or stabbing random people in Europe, and happily the radicals, epitomized by the Islamic State, have forthrightly explained it. The fact is, less than 2 months before Mr. Jihad the Syrian, yes, that's reportedly his real name, crashed his car near the Heaton Park Hebrew congregation before emerging and stabbing 2 Jews to death, the Islamic State had called on Muslims in Europe to engage in precisely such attacks. In August, the Islamic State published an editorial in its Arabic language newsletter, Al-Nabat, the News. After praising the slaughter and beheadings of Christian infidels at the hands of Muslims throughout Africa, especially in Mozambique and the Democratic Republic of Congo, it called on Muslims to engage in the same exact behavior in Europe. In the words of the editorial, my translation, ISIS wrote, quote, "May Allah illumine your paths and preserve your jihad, and assist you in carrying and delivering it to the shores of Europe, that it might invade them, that the jihad might invade them, and disperse their security and turn their streets and capitals into another Ituri and another Cabo Delgado." These are devastated provinces in the Congo and in Mozambique that were devastated by Muslims, and earlier in the editorial, ISIS was boasting about that. For Muslim hearts still burn for revenge against the Christians of Europe, and the call is still open for the champions of Islam to repeat the same acts upon them, to invade their homeland and bring down the judgments of Allah upon them, as their brothers are doing in Africa. The reason the Islamic State says that the call is still open to slaughter infidels is because it made an even more explicit call, with detailed instructions no less, on how to murder Western infidels earlier in 2024. On January 3 of that year, after claiming credit for a terror attack that killed 100 people in Kerman, Iran, the jihadist group issued an audio recording titled, "And kill them wherever you find them," which is a verbatim quote of Quran 9:5. After urging Muslims not to attack Israel, as that would only empower the PA and Hamas, which are not, according to the Islamic State, true Muslims, it called on its followers, the so-called Lions of Islam, to, quote, listen carefully, "chase your praise, whether Jewish, Christian, or their allies, on the streets and roads of America, Europe, and the world. Break into their homes, kill them, and steal their peace of mind by any means you can lay hands on. Understand that you are the arm of the Islamic State, hitting in the kuffar, meaning the infidels, homelands, and you are avenging the Muslims in Palestine, Iraq, Syria, and other Muslim nations. Solidify your plans and diversify the attacks. Detonate explosives, burn them with grenades and fiery agents, shoot them with bullets, cut their throats with sharp knives, and run them over with vehicles. Come at them from every door, kill them by the worst of means, turn their gatherings and celebrations into bloody massacres. Do not distinguish between a civilian kafir, infidel, and a military one, for they are all infidels. Intentionally seek easy targets before hard ones, civilian targets before military ones, religious targets like synagogues and churches before others, for this will satisfy the soul and will demonstrate the characteristics of the battle, as our battle with them is a religious one, and we will kill them wherever we come upon them, in response to Allah Almighty's command." Again, this is a reference to Quran 9:5, also known as the sword verse, which calls on Muslims to, quote, "kill the polytheists wherever you find them, capture them, besiege them, and lie in wait for them in every corner. But if they repent, perform prayers, and pay alms," meaning if they embrace Islam, "then set them free. Indeed, for Allah is all-forgiving, most merciful." Now, to justify its calls to slaughter innocent non-Muslims, in ways that everyone in Europe should be familiar with by now, including driving vehicles over, blowing up, and stabbing them to death, little children included, the Islamic State spent much time delineating the 3 Muslim doctrines I earlier alluded to, which most support this frenzied bloodlust. Because all non-Muslims would do well to familiarize themselves with these 3 Islamic teachings, for the remainder of this video, I will break them down in the context of the Islamic State's ongoing messaging. Let us begin with the terror group's most recent editorial from August 2025. Very early on, it quotes Quran 9:29, which reads as follows, quote, "Fight those who do not believe in Allah and the last day, nor comply with what Allah and His Messenger have forbidden, nor embrace the religion of truth from among the people of the book, until they pay the jizya with willing submission and in humility. Now, the mainstream Muslim understanding of this verse has always been that Muslims must fight the people of the book, a reference primarily to Christians and Jews, until they either convert to Islam, pay jizya, tribute, and embrace second-class status, or die. Incidentally, the fashionable claim nowadays that this verse is only calling on Muslims to fight back whenever Christians and Jews initiate aggression is a big fat lie. After quoting Quran 929, which I just read, the ISIS editorial continues by reminding the Christians of Africa that, quote, if they want to emerge from a state of death and displacement, they must know that Islam grants them the freedom between three choices. 1. Accept Islam, and they will become our brothers, equal in rights and duties. 2. Pay the jizya in humiliation and submission, and their blood will be spared. 3. If they refuse both, then death, which is what they have suffered for years. Calls for jihad and jizya should by now be familiar, including to those very few in the West who are moderately informed, which I'm sure includes you, dear viewer. But ISIS also invoked the overarching doctrine of al-wala wal-bara, loyalty and enmity. Now let it be known that this virtually unknown doctrine in the West is the root source of all Islamic hostility. Its first part, al-wala, commands all Muslims to be loyal and helpful to one another. Its second and much more problematic part, al-bara, commands Muslims to disavow and even hate all non-Muslims. It is in fact what fuels jihad, warfare, and jizya, mistreatment of conquered infidels. Although there are many Quran verses that support this doctrine, Quran 64 is its linchpin. In it, Allah informs Muslims that, quote, you have an excellent example in Ibrahim, and those with him, when they said to their people, we totally disassociate ourselves from you and what you worship besides Allah. We reject you. Enmity and hatred has arisen between us and will last forever until you believe in Allah alone. So, as you can see, the hate is intrinsic. It's so final and so total that even if a non-Muslim is genuinely good and kind to a Muslim, the Muslim must still hate him or her. Yes, indeed, while Islam allows Muslim men to marry women of the book, Christians and Jews, he must nonetheless hate them and show them he hates them. Don't believe me? Behold, over 12 years ago, I translated a video of Egyptian cleric Sheikh Yasser al-Burhami responding to any objections that Islam requires Muslim men to hate their Christian or Jewish wives. Please watch it to the very end and pay careful attention to his words.
احتج شيخ على حب أهل الكتاب بجواز الزواج من الكتابيات. كيف يتزوجها وهو يكرهها؟ إيه المانع يعني؟ كل الناس بتحب زوجاتهم. كم من الناس بينهم خلافات وعايشين ومع ذلك فهو قد يحب شكلها أو يحب تربيتها للأولاد أو يحب أن عندها مال، ولذلك يكره أن يتزوج الكتابية لأنها ليست ذات دين، وهو مأمور بأن يبغضها على دينها مع بقائه في معاشرتها، وهذا أمر معتاد جدا. أو أقول لك كل من يغتصب امرأة بيحبها ولا يعاشرها فقط؟ يعاشرها من أجل جسدها فقط ولا يحبها في الحقيقة، ومع ذلك لأنه لو كان كذلك لما آذاها، ومع ذلك فيمكن وجود المعاشرة الجنسية دون حب، فهذا ممكن ومأمور هو كما ذكرنا بأن يبغضها. فتترك النصوص القاطعة. لا تجد قوما يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر يوادون من حاد الله ورسوله ولو كانوا آباءهم أو أبناءهم أو إخوانهم أو عشيرتهم أولئك كتب في قلوبهم الإيمان وأيدهم بروح منه. تتركه تعمل فيه إيه؟ ماذا تصنع؟ الموالاة أصلها المودة والحب عند كل أهل اللغة، والله يقول ومن يتولهم منكم فإنه منهم. تعمل فيها إيه؟ لا تتخذوا اليهود والنصارى أولياء. تعمل فيها إيه؟ ماذا تصنع في هذه النصوص؟ يقول لها أنه يبغض دينها بلا شك، لابد أن يبين لها أنه يبغضها على دينها ويبغضها من أجل أنها كافرة، وإن كان يحسن عشرتها حتى يكون ذلك سبيلا لإسلامها ويعرض عليها الدين ويدعوها إلى الله عز وجل. أهو ده بقى الذي يقطع الدين، يترك الذي لا يعجبه ويمسك بشيء لا يدل في الحقيقة، لأن ربنا أجاز نكاحهن فقط ولم يجز محبتهن على أديانهن أو رغم كفرهن. فإيه المانع؟ كما ذكرنا ليست كل البيوت بنيت على الحب، لو كان الأمر كذلك لما استمرت الحياة الزوجية بين أكثر أهل الأرض. نعم، ينفذ عليها، ما يخش، ما يبدأش بالسلام. لو دخل البيت ما يبدأش بالسلام، يبدأ ولاده، أو يبدأ لو في له ولاد مسلمين يقول السلام عليكم، يعمم الكلام للجميع وهو يقصد المسلمين فيهم، وإلا فهذه أحكام عامة. ما هو يدخل بيته لأن الأصل عندنا أن هم مسلمات، واخد بالك؟ لكن لو كانت كتابية لما يخش ما يسلمش، ما يبدأش بالسلام، هي تحييه، هي تبدأ وهو يرد.
Okay. And if you want more proof, consider the simple, straightforward, and highly authoritative words of Ibn al-Taymiyyah, whose great influence down the centuries has earned him the singular honorific Sheikh al-Islam among Muslims. He wrote, quote, "The believers, Muslims, are loyal to Allah, and so they are naturally one another's allies. The infidels are the enemies of Allah, and thus the enemies of the believers. Allah prohibited befriending infidels. The believer needs to reflect on the difference between these two ways. He needs to know that he is obligated to befriend a believer, even if he is oppressive and violent toward you, while he must be hostile to the infidel, even if he is liberal and kind to you. Allah Almighty sent prophets and revealed scripture so that all religion would be Allah's alone, that there would be love for his allies, hatred for his enemies, honor for his allies, contempt for his enemies, rewards for his allies, punishments for his enemies." In short, a Muslim hatred for non-Muslims is an expression of faith. It is a direct commandment from Allah, with the weight of heaven and hell attached to it, and thus non-negotiable. Alright, now let's see how this doctrine complements and even actuates its two more popular counterparts, jihad and jizya. 1. Hate for the infidel, that is, constant spiritual or metaphysical hostility against all non-Muslims, naturally manifests itself as 2. Jihad, that is, physical hostility against and attempts to subjugate the non-Muslim whenever and wherever possible. And successful jihads beget 3. Jizya, the inhuman institution that all non-Muslims who refuse to forfeit their religious freedom by converting to the Muslim victor's creed must live under in an Islamic state. Put differently, a jihad, war on non-Muslims for no less a reason than that they are non-Muslims, is the physical manifestation of the hate Muslims should feel for all non-Muslims, again, for no less a reason than that they are non-Muslims. Incidentally, not only is it natural to attack and seek to subjugate those whom one is bred on hating, but the doctrine of jihad, including to spread and enforce Sharia around the world, is, let no one deceive you, part and parcel of Islam. Thus, before it was utterly subverted in the name of political correctness, diversity, and all that, when it was still an authoritative source, the Encyclopedia of Islam stated the following under its jihad entry, written by the Lebanese jurist Emil Tayyan, who died in 1977. He wrote, quote, "The spread of Islam by arms is a religious duty upon Muslims in general. Jihad must continue to be done until the whole world is under the rule of Islam. Islam must completely be made over before the doctrine of jihad can be eliminated." But as infidels are to be hated per se, and not merely in the context of jihad, the hostility continues even after the cessation of successful holy wars. Unlike other conquerors that generally permit the conquered to go on unmolested so long as they do not challenge the new order, some even try to appease and win over their new subjects. Whenever and wherever Islam conquers, that old metaphysical hostility, the hate which fueled the original jihad, remains to mistreat its subject infidels. Thus, not only must the Christians and Jews pay extortion money, jizya, and accept second-class citizen status, according to the juridical text, they must also be reminded and made to feel inferior, including as a way to inspire them to convert to the true faith. Some Islamic juridical texts go so far as to mandate humiliating rituals at the time of jizya payment. The presiding Muslim official could slap, choke, and or pull the beard of the paying Christian or Jew, who might also be made to approach the official on all fours, like an animal. Either way, Islam wins. If the infidel continues in his faith, Islamic society continues to extort and prey on him. If the non-Muslim eventually surrenders to Islam, the Ummah gains a new recruit, with death as a penalty should he later entertain second thoughts and try to apostatize. Such has been the true history and growth of the Islamic world, all of which is built atop the blood and land of non-Muslims. Indeed, all that we've discussed is a perfect description of historic Islam. It preached undying hatred for infidels, invaded and conquered their lands, and placed those who refused to convert in a state of degradation and bondage. See this book, Sword and Scimitar, 14 Centuries of War Between Islam and the West, if you want countless examples from the 7th century to the modern era. Nor, and returning to the most recent expression of Islamic hate and jihad, the Manchester synagogue attack, to say nothing of the ongoing genocide of Christians throughout Africa, is any of this limited to the past? It is, as we see on a daily basis, all very alive and well in the present.